Alright, what is up, everybody? Today's video, I feel inspired to talk about how the quote-unquote law of attraction can actually end up biting you in the ass. I know for me, I remember I watched The Secret when I was like 14, and my aunt showed it to me. She was always more into kind of like spiritual knowledge and esoteric stuff and just the deeper nature of reality, right? So I watched The Secret, and that was the first time in my life where I considered like, oh, like maybe reality is not just happening to me, but I have some sort of say in what happens. Maybe I can actually influence reality and influence my experience and what is happening. Maybe it's not happening to me, so to speak, but in a sense is happening through me. Like I'm an active participant in what is happening in my life. And I remember that was a very profound experience for me. And after that, I started, doing visualizations a lot and different techniques and things that they would talk about in the film. And I started implementing that more. Like visualizing finding money or like different things happening that I wanted to create in my life. And I can't say that I got tremendous results, but then again, I wasn't really like that consistent with it. It was more like the seed had just been planted for me, right? And then later on, a few years later, I got more into like Abraham Hicks stuff, which is all about positive focus. Just focus positively, think these positive thoughts of what you want to create. And I became rather obsessive with it a few years later. And I would say that I did definitely started to manifest more of my desired reality. But the main thing was I just felt really good a lot of the time. But what happened was it ended up kind of, like as I said before, biting me in the ass. Because as I was doing this perpetual positive focus, I was in a way trying to get away from any negative feelings. And I was also into Eckhart Tolle stuff at this time as well, and being present. So I had some sense of like, okay, I need to be present with the pain body and present with these different emotional traumas and things of that nature. So I had some sense of that, but it wasn't until like the shit really hit the fan that I understood what that meant. Because I was always trying to feel good, right? I was always trying to feel good with the positive focus. Feel good by being very present to the moment. And then I remember at the time I worked at IHOP, and I remember meeting this girl, and we both felt this like very, I can only speak for myself, but I could tell that she felt the same way. We felt this very powerful connection with each other, right? And what happened was I wasn't able to pursue it or ask her out or anything, even though I felt like this so strongly compelled to, because it brought up all this pain and trauma from my past and from my relationship with my mom. And so I would like freeze when I was around her. I felt like I was like a deer in the headlights, and I couldn't get myself to actually do anything. And I remember this just bringing up so much deep pain and anguish and sadness, and it was so intense that it was brutal. And it was like the positive focus stuff just wouldn't work anymore. And so I started to go deeper down the rabbit hole of like doing what's known as like shadow work and this deeper inner work of healing and releasing these traumas. And I started to understand the relevance of that. And then I went through an experience and a process of dealing with that and healing that, and I kind of put the positive focus stuff to the side. But then later on, after I felt like, okay, I feel like I've moved through a lot of that stuff and done a lot of healing, I began to get back into the positive focus and the mental reframes and, the visualization stuff. And another hang up that I found with it is that, like, when I had watched that movie The Secret, it was almost like it planted the seed that all I had to do was just think about what I wanted in the right way. All I had to do was just visualize it, and it would come to me. And I think my subconscious kind of took on that belief. And so I was like, okay, all I have to do is just align my thoughts with what I want. Just visualize it. Just feel as if it's a reality. As opposed to taking massive action and acting on these different inspirations and impulses and actually making it into a reality. I just have to visualize and feel as if it's already a reality. And I think this really fucked me over because I wouldn't take the necessary action to achieve the things that I wanted to achieve. I would just sit back and visualize and think that it was just going to happen, like it was just going to come to me. And now, being 27 years old, got into this when I was 14, so that's, 13 years ago. It's really hitting me, this reality that if you don't take proper action and massive action, and you're not consistent doing it every day, you're never going to get what you want. You're never going to create the reality that you really want. You're not going to do it by just thinking about it and visualizing it. And this is how this whole law of attraction philosophy kind of bit me in the ass, and I think it does that to a lot of people. On one, I try to avoid any sort of negative feelings or pain within me, and then another, I kind of lost touch with the importance of hard work and taking action and consistent effort. And I think it's definitely important to direct your focus. I think that's very important. I think visualization is very powerful. I think we can plant seeds in the subconscious and we can help to reorient our psyche towards positivity. I think that's tremendously helpful. But if we forget these other elements, that's only one small part of the whole picture. So if we forget these other elements, it ends up biting us in the ass, basically. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to share. Maybe you can relate to that. Hope that was helpful and you got some insight from it. So thanks for tuning in. Remember, as always, live this life from a peak experience. This has been Bodhi with Bodhi Tree Social, and we'll talk soon. Much love, everyone.